Thank you for joining us again. Back with another week. This time, we're ready to get live action started.
Yeah, we're getting close, Thursday, we open up with South Lake, so we're excited about that.
Like we talked about last week, your team should be a little upset with you. You didn't do them any favors with that?
No, I did not. Every time I look at it, I was like, what was I thinking? But clearly, I like to make sure we're battle tested going into district and in the playoffs. So.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, the first game of the season, it's got to be tough. How do you look at a team? How do you scout a team?
Well, if you do it like some of the other teams do, they come to watch your scrimmages. But I try not to do that because I feel like that's just one of those unwritten rules that you don't do. Clearly, that's not something that everybody else lives by because the last couple of years we've actually been scouted by the team we played early. But you try to do the best that you can. A lot of teams you get to see during the fall in different fall leagues. If we can find some sort of film from last year just to try to get concepts, because you're not going to know everything. The thing that I do and our coaching staff, we try to do with our scouts is that we just try to give them ideas. Because if you try to give them a whole bunch of stuff to remember about what they're doing and plays-wise, they're going to forget it anyway.
Right.
So if we can just have an idea of how they're trying to play, that's really all I'm worried about.
Okay. As far as your offensive sets, your defensive sets, have you had a chance to get everything in with the football guys and all that stuff going into the first game?
Well, we actually just had, on Saturday, we just kind of started putting in our offensive sets. I mean, we had a kind of a base offense, a little motion sort of set that we were doing. You kind of put in your secondary break. We hadn't put in any sets as far as running plays for certain people yet, and that's what we're working on this week and getting ready for the first game. And then we had a couple other defensive things that we wanted to do. So we'll get some more stuff in. We're not going to be fully loaded with all of our things because we try to add stuff throughout the season, catch people off guard a little bit, but we're getting close.
Players in the area, is there anybody that you're interested to see, or you think you saw last year and think, all right, this guy's gonna make a big jump coming in this year?
I mean, we talked about it last week a little bit. I didn't see him personally, but I've heard so much about Daniel Deaver and the type of player that he is. I'm looking forward to seeing it, but unfortunately, I'm gonna have to see it up close because we're going to their place. Yeah. Cam Savage, I got to see him last year in the game that I went and scouted because we were hoping that we would get to play them during the playoffs. Didn't turn out that way. I know that he'll have a jump, and obviously he'll have a little bit of more comfortable being that he got his offer from Barton and he's going there and he's committed. Usually kids kind of relax and play a little bit better once they've done that. And obviously in our league, we got some guys that are going to step up and have bigger roles. Isaiah Folks over at Stonewall is going to be a guy that's going to have a bigger year for them. Battlefield obviously lost a lot of guys, so they're going to have to find who's going to replace a lot of the scoring punch they had. John Hilton over at Osborne, I think, is one really good player, and the guy that's going to be kind of under the radar to start the season, but I think has had a huge summer, has been Matt Pearson. And he is somebody that has gotten a lot better. And I can't say that I'm overly happy about it because we obviously have to compete against him for the district, but he's somebody that I think is going to have a big year over there. So.
We got a pretty serious game going on over there.
I know. We brought all the kids in today. It's a serious 2-on-2 game going on over there. So it's a little bit of entertainment for us to watch.
How bad do you want to tell them how terrible their shooting form is, though? Are you in full coach mode right now? Or
sometimes I try to just let them go, but when it gets really bad is when I'm like, you look absolutely terrible. So I'm one of those honest dads. I try not to be a coach too much, but I will tell them that you're not very good at this right now. Yeah. So we need to work on this.
You grew up, went to Potomac. How different is it for you coming from Potomac? Every day you come to work, you look across the street, you see the farms and stuff like that in Patriot. How different is that for you?
I can tell you, before I even got here, I remember I came to a football game when Potomac was playing against Patriot. And driving out here, I honestly had no idea where I was going. Yeah. I didn't know where I was at. It was dark. Like I said, it was a bunch of farms and everything. And it's definitely a different world out here when you get out here. But one thing that is big, I feel like, is that, community-wise, everybody's pretty friendly as far as welcoming you here. And the staff is amazing. I can't tell you how many people have come up to us after a big game or just a regular game where we played and we won, and they said good game. And that's something that if you can have people invested in you that aren't necessarily basketball fans, that's always a big deal for me.
Yeah, obviously, I live out this way. Right. I love it out here. Uniforms.
Yes.
New uniforms this year?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
You guys were pretty excited?
I'm excited. I'm not even wearing it.
What is that? How much input do the guys get for the uniforms, or do you have a certain look you're trying to build here? Or what is it? How do you guys handle uniforms?
I mean, I'm a gear guy. I really enjoy gear. I hate to say it, but I'm partial to Nike. So a lot of the stuff that I like to look at and get is Nike based.
That's shocking.
You know, I think it looks the best. And a little plug there for Nike. If you want to send us anything, I'm all about it. But I give them some input, not a lot, because you can't give 14 kids the type of input that they really want. The only thing that I listen to them about is getting smaller shorts, because that's now the thing for guys to wear smaller shorts again.
I noticed that when they were trying on the uniform.
Yeah. So that was the one thing that they were adamant about. Coach, make sure that the shorts aren't as big as the uniforms before. I was like, I got it. But as far as going through the process of picking the uniforms, that was kind of a me thing. You know, I sent it to the other coaches, and I sent it to them and showed them the things that I liked, and asked them what their input was, and if they gave me the answers that I was looking for, then I was like, okay. If they didn't, I was like, okay. And I still did what kind of like I wanted to do.
So you set the test up.
Yeah. You know, you have to get, focus groups and find out exactly what they like, and watching different college games and seeing what the different teams are wearing.
Yeah.
Obviously, it has to be cost efficient. You want to spend an exorbitant amount of money because we only have so much in our budget to work with.
Right.
But at the same time, I want it to be nice. I want them to feel good. I feel like if you look good, you play good. I've always been under that rule. And guys come out and they feel good about their uniforms and good about the warm-ups that they have. They come out, they have a confidence to them that you might not have if you're wearing something that you don't really like.
What's the biggest difference between the uniforms? Like with football, in the last 10, 15 years, football uniforms have changed dramatically. Like when you hold one up, they look like a baby's clothes. They're so small.
Yeah.
What are the differences in basketball uniforms?
You know, the funny thing is, like you said, we talked about the size of the shorts. It's kind of like everybody was all about the big shorts there for a while. They wanted to be baggy. Yeah. And as we've gone in the last few years, they're just starting to get smaller and smaller. I was watching UCLA play against Michigan State the other day, and some of those guys' shorts were like mid-thigh. Yeah. And I remember when I was growing up and we had to wear some small shorts, like it was the worst thing ever. Yeah. So that's something that's changed. The jerseys obviously aren't as loose. They like them to be a little bit tighter fit, which, I guess is a good thing. So everything has just gotten a little bit tighter, a little bit more snug. And then the breathability of the uniforms, it's not so much the heavy materials anymore. Right. It's a lot of stuff that's the lighter weight, the dry fit. So things don't get soaked and you feel like you're carrying around a 10-pound bag on your back.
Well, I just want to know what the benefit is to the small shorts. It's got to be something. They like it. I don't know what it is.
You can't say there's any benefit to it because they try to pretend like they can't dribble the ball through their legs when half of them can't do it anyway. Right. So I just think they like it. They think it looks cool. Yeah. They know that LeBron is doing it and James Harden. That's usually how things start. Pro guys do it and they think it looks good, and that's when they want to start doing it. I can't be mad at them because we started wearing baggy stuff because the Fab Five did it. Right. So I'm not going to judge them for that.
What did your time, obviously going to Potomac, being part of that program, I don't know if there's many programs as successful as that over the last, 30 years or something? What have you taken from there to bring the Patriot?
Well, if you just look over the years, obviously it started with Kendall Hayes, and then Keith did a great job of continuing the tradition and building on that, is that it just... them walking into the gym gives them 10 points. Just the fact that you're playing against Potomac, it gives them 10 points in any game. They have a confidence that no matter what you do, it doesn't matter, that we're going to do our job and we're going to end up winning the game. One thing I always talked about that was a big positive there and that I tried to implement in our kids is that you have Potomac and they play this way and they have spikes, where everybody else has dips. Right. And then they come back up. So when they're having their spikes and you're having your dip, 5 points up, 10 points up. And then you look up and you're down by 20. You're like, well, we actually thought we played pretty well today. So it's because they're not having the dips you're having. They're playing at a pace and a style that's good. And then all of a sudden they have that run. Right. And then they have another one. And it's just one of those things that it was... the confidence, obviously, overall. The other thing that is great having a program that's had so much success for a long period of time is that the kids that come in don't want to be the team that lets the rest of the guys down that played before. It's one of those things that They have a great fan base of guys that come back and watch games that played there that were really good players. And now a lot of them have kids coming through the school. And they know what they have to live up to. And you don't want to be the team that when the guys come to watch you play, or they see you in the barbershop, or they see you at an open gym, like, man, you guys were the worst team that come and play through there. That's a big thing for them. So it's a bragging rights. They want to be able to talk about how, we were the best team. We were the best team. So they always come in and work extra hard. You get in there, you see all those jerseys on the wall. Yeah. And, just the tradition there. It's just one of those things that one of the premier basketball programs in Northern Virginia, if not the state. And, it's just like I said, Coach Hayes did a great job of establishing that. And Keith has done a great job of continuing that tradition. And like I said, building on it and making it something that is just known throughout all the state.
Yeah. How much does your playing career help you as a head coach? How much are you able to kind of look back on your own career and deal with guys that you have on the team, things like that?
One thing that I always told myself when I decided to coach was I wanted to remember how I felt at times as a player.
Right.
I could remember times when I would be in practice, more so in college, where our coach was having 2.5, 3-hour practices. And I remember thinking, like, I cannot stand being here right now. It just was one of those things is that we literally could have got this done an hour ago.
Right.
And we're listening to you talk, you're slowing us down. And I just remember thinking that I didn't ever want to have those feelings come across to my team.
Okay.
So a lot of things that I, would go through as a player, I would try to remember them. How I felt when a coach would tell you, hey, you shouldn't shoot that shot. Now, sometimes we have to be honest with kids and tell them the truth. You shouldn't be shooting that because you're not very good at that. The same way I am with my own kids.
Right.
But at the same time, it's how you deliver the message. How do you pick them up when they're having a rough time, knowing that everybody's different and that some things can be taken a certain way and you just have to coach everybody a certain way and a different way. And it's just things that I just tried to remember how I felt in certain situations as a player at all levels in high school, college, and professional, that I just tried to carry over and remember that. And a lot of people use it as a degrading term, but they call it player's coach.
Right.
I don't see why that's a bad thing. As long as you have standards and you make sure that they live up to them and they follow the directions and the rules that you have. There's nothing wrong with being a person that is in tune with your players and understanding what they need to do. You don't need to be a general and a drill sergeant and be like, you do this and yell at that and I'm not going to have a relationship with you. I don't think that's conducive to a good environment as far as having a good team. You got to let them have little things here and there. Some of them want to wear something under their jersey or they want to wear a headband. Yeah. As long as you don't look like a fool, I'm okay with it. So I just our practice sometimes we'll play music during different parts of practice and stuff that they want to hear. It's not always something that I want to hear. I can't be that. Now I'm got to say it. I'm that old guy that's playing Jay-Z when they don't want to hear that. They want to hear all the new stuff that's going on. Some of it is okay. Other stuff is not so okay. So I'm good with it. So if they want to play Kodak Black in practice, we can put that on and they can get into that. But when it's time to work, it's time to work.
What if they want to play Rare Essence? Does that work?
Oh, listen. I think that's another thing that's interesting about coming out here is that it's not so much the go-go that you heard on the other side of the county. That's something that when at Potomac we played that. Yeah. It was part of our warm-up tape. I said tape. That's awful. I just said that. But part of our warm-up music. Now it's something that is not evident here. It's not a whole lot of guys clamoring for go-go music. So I have to kind of put that on myself. Yeah. Yeah. It's interesting, but I'm good with it. I had some of my friends talking about why is there not any go-go music in the intro to the show. I said there's no pocket beat. I don't even want to watch this anymore.
I'm working on it. Yeah. I told you, I'm working on Miss Kim.
No, listen, I'm good with it. It looks great to me, so I'm good.
Good. If you had to pick one attribute or one thing that a guy needs to be a good basketball player, what is that one thing above all else?
I just think like your work ethic's got to be just outrageous. Obviously the talent and the skill and the athleticism comes with that, but you get to a point as you get older that there's a lot of guys that can play. Yeah. And do you have that hunger to want to be the best person every time you walk on the court? I like to think that I worked pretty hard and did some stuff that was kind of weird for a kid my age, running in the summertime when it was 100 degrees out. But one thing that sticks out for me was when I was about 15 or 16 years old, and my father said to me, I was at an AAU practice, and we were scrimmaging against the B team. And it was one of those times that I started feeling myself. I had started on varsity as a sophomore, and and we just lost in the state championship. So I'm like, I'm pretty good. So I'm just kind of going through the motions in practice, and a kid stole the ball from me, and I laughed because I knew that I was better than him. It was just one of those things that I was trying to do a move, and he stole it. My dad took me off the court. He wasn't even coaching, mind you. He took me off the court, and he says, "Don't you ever make people think that they can play with you. Like, every time you step out here, you have to be the best guy. Even when you're not, you're trying to be the best guy." And that was one thing that I just, at that point, even now, like, I won't play with some of the kids if I'm not in the type of shape that I feel like I can be the best, because it won't sit well with me. I'll be mad for like a week. You know, we were in here the other day during the break, and some of the kids wanted to come in and shoot, and so, you know, 3 of them came in, and we decided to play 2-on-2 because I was here. And we played the first 2 games, and I'm not going to say who was on what team because I don't want them to get in their feelings about it, but the team that I was on, we lost the first 2 games, and I remember being extremely angry. So I proceeded not to pass the ball as much for the next 3 games, and we won the next 3 games because I was like, we have to win the series. And just, if you're not highly competitive, it's just hard for you to be as good as you can be. You just have to always just want to just really just go at people and just want to be the best. And if you're not, be mad about not being the best and do whatever you have to do to get there.
So you'd rather have a guy that you have to dial him back rather than to try to turn him up?
I mean, we talk about these guys a little bit, and Ike was one of those people that I had to tell him, I said, hey man, you got to slow down. You know what I'm saying? Like, he was a kid that was so competitive that he just was just after it all the time. And it was just, sometimes I would have to tell him, like, you got to chill sometimes. Like, you can't be balls to the wall all the time. It's got to be, sometimes you got to dial it back, change speeds. And I'd rather have somebody that I have to tell whoa than a horse to tell I have to say giddy up.
Right. You know, just talking about your own coaching experience, you got a guy like Ike that's that way. Then you got a guy like Drake who doesn't come across. He's not a very loud guy, not a very vocal guy. But you can see that guy wants to win games.
Listen, he's the type of kid, you could see the switch flip for him when he was getting upset about not winning. There was a time in the summertime we had some guys come in and play, and you couldn't tell me that Drake wasn't one of the best guys. We had, I mean, you know, it's unfortunate, but he ended up hurting himself in the scrimmage. Jeremy Roach from Paul 6, he actually came around and shot around, played with the guys a little bit. And, you know, Drake was in here. He was probably one of the top players in the gym just because he was like, I'm not going to let you guys think you're better than me. You're in my gym. You know, he's getting ready to go to school. He's working out just as hard. And he was, even though he comes across as quiet and his demeanor, he was a killer out there. He wanted to go at you. And he was another one that I say, hey, you probably shouldn't shoot it over 3 guys. we have to move it just a little bit. And I was okay with that because I want guys to have that sort of confidence in them. I want them to work. I want them to get after it. You know, it's just, in Devin Parrish right now, he's a kid that's been working so hard in the offseason that I had to tell him that there was some of the stuff you're going to have to tone back because you're going to burn yourself out. Randy Haynes was a guy like that at Potomac. He wanted to get up every morning and go work out and shoot like during the season. I said, hey man, you got practice after school today. Like, you can't do it every day. You can't work out every day. But you rather have a kid like that than one you have to beg to get in the gym. So.
Well, and so let's say one of those guys comes to you and says, Coach, I need more time in the gym.
Listen, anytime guys usually ask me to get in the gym, I'll come up here and open it up. That's why I wanted to move out here and be close, because I wanted them to have access to it, because I know I was a guy like that wanted to get some extra work in. So some of them will come in before school and get shots up and work out that way. Some of them want to stay after practice. If we have it on Saturdays, usually it's easy for that. Or if we're the late practice and there's no one coming in after us, they can get that time. So I'm never going to tell them not to do it. I know there are times that I will have to because they need the time off and to rest their bodies. Because sometimes, you know, it's paralysis by analysis. They think that they got to shoot a million times because they had a bad shooting day that day. Hey, sometimes it's good to step away from it for a second. And see how it just, like, let your mind rest from it. And, you know, but most of the time, anytime they ask, I'm willing to come up here.
Completely off the subject, just popped in my head. Have you ever seen anything as weird as Markelle Fultz?
I honestly, I know we've had some conversations with guys I work with here. It's the old baseball coach here, Sammy Serrano. We were talking about the yips.
Yeah.
And that's basically what's happened to him.
Chuck Knobloch, that was the first thing I thought. Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly who we were talking about.
Yeah.
And it's just one of those things, like you go back and you watch his tape from Washington in college, and there was nothing wrong.
Oh.
And it's like one of those things that it's not going to stop until he's like away from the game for a little bit.
Right.
And that's just not a realistic thing for him just not to play.
No.
So all the different things he's trying, I almost want to tell whoever's giving him the advice or tell him stuff, stop telling him things. Because now his brain is thinking about every time he shoots the ball of like, I don't want to mess this up. I mean, the one time he had the double pump free throw, I mean, it's almost like Charles Barkley with the golf swing.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
And it's just crazy to look at because everybody's talking about, oh man, you should have took Tatum. And listen, Jason Tatum's really good. I'm not going to say that he's not.
Right.
But at the time, Markelle Fultz should have been the #1 pick because he was really good in college. He was a kid that was unstoppable in the Pac-12.
Yeah.
So now he just had this shoulder thing and whatever going on with him, he can't get right. And it's sad to watch because he's a really good basketball player. I hope he figures it out. I hope that he stops listening to everybody.
Yeah.
And just kind of steps away from it for a second. Like, listen, guys, I'm going to figure this out. But it shows you how big sports psychology is and the mental part of the game, because if something goes wrong with you mentally,
It's done.
it messes everything up
Yeah,
for
it's
you.
done. That's it. You can't rehab that as quickly as you can a knee.
No,
I mean,
no.
like,
It's just like you said, it's one of those things that it's just that once that screw goes loose as far as like you doing the things that you know are normal and you're like, man, why can't I do this?
Right.
Everything tenses up. It's just bad.
yeah. Well, we talked about it, you got South Lakes this week.
Mm-hmm.
Any other games on the schedule this week or just the South Lakes?
South Lakes is Thursday, and then West Springfield's the following day. It's the tip-off tournament there. So that's, 2 tough games back-to-back. We got to see both of them in Fall League, and obviously they're well-coached teams. So we're looking forward to that. So Thursday, Friday, we'll have that. And then the next week will be Monday, Tuesday against both Freedoms. We got South Riding and then Freedom Woodbridge, or it might be the other way around. So,
all right.
And then the Friday after that, we have Forest Park. So 5 games in 9 days.
It's a way to kick off the season.
Listen, we're not even playing around. We're getting right after it.
Well, good. Well, wish you the best of luck this week.
Appreciate it.
We'll talk about it next week.
Definitely. Go to work. We did it.